So we're here with Jess from Logix, and we're at the boat show, and we're talking corrosion, Jess. So
yes,
tell me about Logix. What's Logix all about, and what are we looking at? What are we trying to achieve in helping people understand how important and how corrosive corrosion can actually be?
Yeah, thank you. So Logix is all about one diagnostic. So we go onto boats and marinas and do extensive testing to understand types of corrosion that's occurring, things that are risk factors that will promote corrosion in the future. So really having a big deep dive into boats. So we look at everything from the cathodic protection systems to make sure that they're adequate for what it is that we're trying to protect in the most efficient and environmentally friendly way.
Yeah.
And then secondly to that, we're looking at all other types of things on board that do promote accelerated rates of corrosion. So whether that's electrical problems causing electrolytic corrosion, whether we've got electrical problems that are causing coating deflection and excessive anode wear. We're looking at environmental factors. So what is the type of boat? What are the metals that are on that boat that are susceptible to certain types of corrosion pertaining to the environment? So any type of boat has an inherent risk, and we're about identifying what that risk is and how we can mitigate that. So for a commercial organisation, it might be having a look top to bottom as to how they run their proactive and preventative maintenance program. The electrical design to make sure that we're minimising any effects to the hull of the boat in the metallic sense. And then, on GRP boats and things like that, we're looking at the bonding systems and all of those type of different factors to make sure that collectively over all of these different things that can accelerate or promote corrosion, that we're on top of it all.
So this is obviously new and older boats, and
everything in between. Yep.
Because I've, from my own experience in working with, vessel restorations, we did a refit of a 1983 Bertram. We pulled out, I think, 3 wheelie bins of redundant equipment and wiring. So that in itself is a real corrosion risk, isn't it?
Absolutely. So leaving redundant cabling that may still be terminated at the distribution panel is still a real problem. So things that are redundant should be effectively removed. Things that are looking old and a bit loose on a terminal in an electrical sense should always be maintained proactively. From a corrosion risk in terms of electrical, DC is always your number one aggressive promoter of corrosion. It's not AC. It's very, very common that misconception that a shore power AC problem is going to cause the dissolving and aggressive corrosion of your submerged metals. It's not, it's DC. So you think about DC current, it's going out and it's coming back into battery negative. So that's when you'll see like the Swiss cheese on a propeller, or very aggressive rates of anode consumption and corrosion of your metals is always going to be a DC problem. So really being effective in your management and maintenance of your DC system is absolutely paramount. Solar panels, that's a really big thing, making sure that they're effectively isolated and all the terminations are clean, free from corrosion, because we don't want that DC current to find any other opportunity to exit through something and come back up to battery negative. So it's making that distinction between risks is really, really important. Then that leads into your AC electrical safety and shore power safety, which is also extremely important, but corrosion risk, we're looking primarily at DC influences. A really common thing, particularly if it's dual drive, you'll see a difference between port and starboard. So we usually have an exiting current on the one that's looking really awful and the entering current on the other. So there are little handy tools that that we like to teach, whether it's a super yacht, we teach the engineers and captains and things like that, of just little hints and tips to look out for.
So you'll go on and you'll do a survey of the vessel, and helping people understand what they don't know. A lot of people don't know what they don't know, especially when it comes to corrosion, from my experience. And this is where I think, working with you in the past, and working with Ryan and working with Steve at AIM, is that they're always, Steve's always conscious of how's this going to affect the boat in corrosion.
It's a really important one, and particularly in the commercial space, operators with multiple boats, is getting that right, because you can have an effective and approved electrical system, but it may not be the best for the long-term health, longevity, and promotion of non-expected maintenance in terms of really having a look at that. So with commercial organisations and big builds, we get involved before a cable's pulled, before anything's done, to go, we've got a design here, what's the risk, how can we make it better? Have we overlooked anything here? Because you've got to remember, when you're building a boat, we go and get an engine from them, and we get a generator from these people, and battery charging systems from these people, and it's all of these systems that who has the oversight to look at the entire system as a whole in terms of its inherent risk to the longevity of that vessel. So that's something that keeps us very, very busy, and it's certainly an evolution of our business outside of just a corrosion survey, is really being proactive in that space.
No, that's brilliant. It's so important, because I constantly remind people that preventative maintenance, from my experience,
number one.
It doesn't matter what you spend on preventative maintenance. It will be 3 times cheaper than fix it when it breaks with your eyes closed.
Always.
So that's the thing. Preventative maintenance is also understanding what's going on. And corrosion and those little milliamp gremlins that run around and cause all this problem. It's kind of a voodoo to some people. But that's why you're making that understandable.
And that's what we like to think we do better than anyone, is that quite a complex problem, like you say, we're called all sorts of wizards and things like that, let's sit down, let's break it down. We want the owner of the boat on board. We want them to understand what we're doing, because education is key. Once they understand the mechanism of what's happening, we're reducing the crap talk at the bar, which is really common. I've got a hot marina and this is what's going on, without actually understanding what they're saying, what the cause and effect is like, let's talk about it. I want you to have a better understanding of your boat and the risks of your boat. So we spend a lot of time educating.
We've all heard the hot marina story. There's something wrong with the marina, it's causing my corrosion and things like that. But until you actually get the qualified people to actually put the equipment that actually tests these things on that process, you don't have an answer. It's guesswork. No. So you're just really slicing through guesswork in this space.
And we're always learning. There's always a curveball that comes in, and the team, they're scratching their head. They're like, how can this be so? So we've really evolved from using a few specialised multimeters to some quite extensive equipment, and it's trial and error. And it's like, nope, there's something not right here, and using the gut instinct to run with it. There is no formula, fortunately. That's our real difficulty that we have in expanding our technical workforce, is that we've really got to find people that are very technical in terms of electrical and mechanical, so that we can train them up to work within our program.
So you really are on the leading edge of this.
I like to think we are. We travel extensively through the world, and we want to speak to those corrosion people, and we've learnt that there is a massive, not opportunity is the wrong word, but there's a lot of room for improvement. And so we're fundamentally dedicated to going out and sharing our knowledge with the world, and conversely learning what other people can teach us as well.
Fabulous. No, I think people come and see you then on one hand. So thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Happy boat show.
Yes, you too. Thank you. Bye.